Let me begin by asking you a question. Have you ever had one of those days when everything seems to fall apart at once? You wake up late, you spill coffee on your shirt, you rush to work only to find traffic at a standstill. When you finally arrive, your boss is waiting with a complaint. You check your phone and discover a bill you forgot to pay, or worse, a message that breaks your heart. By the end of the day, you feel like life has ganged up against you. Raise your hand if you've ever felt that way. Now here's another question. In those moments, what usually happens inside you? Most of us panic, we lose patience, we complain, some of us lash out at others, some of us retreat and give up. We let the storm outside create a storm inside. But what if there was another way? What if you could remain calm when everything goes wrong? What if instead of breaking down, you stood firm? Instead of drowning in stress, you breathed deeply and found peace? That is the power of Stoicism. Now, I don't want you to think of Stoicism as some dry philosophy from 2,000 years ago. Number. It is not a theory locked in books. It is a way of living practical, simple, and deeply powerful. The Stoics, men like Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca, lived in times harder than ours. Marcus Aurelius was the emperor of Rome, fighting wars on the outside and betrayal on the inside. Epictetus was born a slave, beaten and humiliated, yet he became one of the greatest teachers of resilience. Seneca was forced to live under the constant threat of the emperor's anger, knowing any day could be his last. And yet these men discovered how to remain calm when everything fell apart. Tonight I want to share their lessons with you, but I will not speak in ancient words. I will speak in everyday language. I will give you tools you can use when you face traffic, when you lose your job, when your relationships shake, when your health fails, when life surprises you. Because calmness is not just a nice idea. Calmness is survival. Calmness is power. Let's begin with the first and most important Stoic principle. Principle 1. Focus on what you can control. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher who once walked as a slave, said something so simple yet so profound. Some things are up to us, and some things are not. Think about that. This one sentence can change your life. Every problem you face can be divided into two categories: things you can control, things you cannot control. The problem is, we spend most of our energy on the second category. We stress about the weather, we stress about the traffic, we stress about what people think of us, we stress about the economy, politics, or decisions made thousands of miles away. But all this stress does nothing. It does not change the weather. It does not move the traffic. It does not alter people's opinions. It only robs us of peace. Calmness begins when you redirect your energy to what you can control. Let's take an example. Imagine you're stuck in traffic. What is not in your control? The cars, the lights, the road. What is in your control? Your breath, your music, your attitude, your choice to use that time to listen to an audiobook, to think through an idea, or simply to enjoy silence. Another example. Imagine you apply for a job and you don't get it. What is not in your control? The hiring manager's choice, the number of applicants, the company's decision. What is in your control? Your preparation, your effort, your willingness to learn and try again. Now let me ask you, how much calmer would you be if you truly stopped wasting energy on what is outside your control? Marcus Aurelius, writing in his journal, reminded himself, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Notice what he said. Strength comes from mastering your own mind. Strength does not come from controlling the world because the world is too big, but your mind is yours. Your choices are yours. This is the foundation of Stoic calmness. Control the controllables and release the rest. Real-world applications. Let's apply this to everyday life. At work, you cannot control your boss's mood. You cannot control every decision in the company, but you can control your effort, your attitude, your skill, and the way you speak to others. In relationships, you cannot control how someone feels about you. You cannot force them to act the way you want, but you can control how you show up, how you love, how you respond. In health, you cannot control every illness. You cannot stop aging, but you can control your diet, your exercise, your sleep, and your outlook. In society, you cannot control politics, the news, or the global economy, but you can control how you vote, how you spend, how you treat people in your community. When you separate the controllable from the uncontrollable, you create space for calmness. A mindfulness exercise. Let's try something together. Close your eyes for a moment. Think about one problem in your life right now, something that weighs heavily on your heart. Now ask yourself, what part of this is within my control and what part is not? Hold that thought. Now imagine yourself letting go of the part you cannot control. Imagine placing it down, like dropping a heavy bag you've carried too long. Feel the relief. Then focus only on the part that is yours to carry. Maybe it's your action, maybe it's your words, maybe it's simply your attitude. Hold on to that part with both hands. Now open your eyes. This is Stoicism in practice. It's not about controlling the world, it's about controlling yourself. And that changes everything. Transition to Principle 2. So we have begun with the first lesson. Focus on what you can control. If you master only this, your calmness will already increase tenfold. But there is more. Because even when we focus on what we can control, our instincts often betray us. We react too quickly. We get angry too fast. That's why the Stoics give us the next principle. Pause before reacting. Principle 2. Pause before reacting. My friends, let me ask you something. Have you ever reacted too quickly only to regret it moments later? You sent that angry message and later wished you had kept quiet. You shouted at someone you love and later felt ashamed. You made a quick decision in panic and later realized it was the wrong move. We've all been there. The truth is, when everything goes wrong, the greatest danger is not the event itself. It's how we react to it. Marcus Aurelius, who ruled the largest empire on earth, faced betrayal, wars, plagues, and loss, but he reminded himself daily, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. In other words, the event doesn't destroy you. Your reaction to the event does. The power of the pause. Calmness is built in the pause between the event and your reaction. Think about fire. A single spark can die out if left alone, but if you throw gasoline on it, it becomes an inferno. Life's problems are sparks. Our reactions, anger, panic, fear, are the gasoline. When you pause, you stop feeding the fire. Everyday examples. At work, your boss criticizes your project harshly. Your first instinct is to defend yourself, maybe even raise your voice. But if you pause, breathe, and listen, you may realize there's some truth in the feedback, or at least that reacting calmly will help you more than arguing. In family life, your child spills something, breaks something, or talks back. Your first instinct is to shout. But if you pause, you might remember this is a child learning, not an enemy attacking. Calm correction will teach more than angry punishment. On social media, someone insults you. The urge is to respond instantly. But if you pause, you realize, do I really want to spend my energy here? Do I want to let a stranger control my peace? That pause is the birthplace of wisdom. A practical technique. Here's a simple Stoic-inspired practice, the rule of 3 breaths. The next time something goes wrong, before you say or do anything, take 3 deep breaths. Inhale deeply, hold for a moment, then exhale slowly. Do this 3 times. By the time you finish, the storm in your mind has already begun to calm. You may still feel anger or fear, but it will no longer control you completely. This is not weakness. This is mastery. Epictetus said, "Shit, any person capable of angering you becomes your master. He can anger you only when you permit yourself to be disturbed by him." The pause breaks that chain. It reminds you that you are the master of your reaction, not the slave of the event. The Stoic leader's example. Think of leaders in history who remained calm under pressure. Abraham Lincoln, during the American Civil War, was famous for writing what he called hot letters, angry responses to people who criticized him. But here's the key. He never sent them. He would write the angry letter, then put it in a drawer. Later, when he cooled down, he wrote a calmer reply. That pause saved him from many unnecessary conflicts. That's a modern Stoic practice, turning impulse into reflection and reflection into wisdom. Principle 3, reframe the problem. Now let's move to the third principle, reframe the problem. When everything goes wrong, most people ask, why me? Why now? The Stoic asks a different question. What can I learn from this? How can this make me stronger? Seneca wrote, difficulties strengthen the mind as labor strengthens the body. This is the art of reframing, seeing problems not as punishments but as training. Modern-day examples. Losing a job. At first it feels devastating. Fear sets in, but reframing says, this is a chance to reinvent myself, to build new skills, to step into something better. Many people only found their true calling because a job loss forced them to change direction. Facing illness. Illness is painful. No one would choose it. But reframing says, this is a reminder of the value of health. This is training me to appreciate life, to slow down, to care for myself and others more deeply. Relationship struggles. When a relationship ends, the first thought is pain and rejection, but reframing says, this is not the end of my worth. This is an opportunity to grow, to learn about love, to prepare myself for healthier connections. The athlete's mindset. Athletes understand reframing better than most. They know that without resistance, there is no growth. The weight in the gym feels heavy, but it is the very thing that builds strength. The Stoics looked at life the same way. Problems are weights. They are resistance. Yes, they are uncomfortable, but they are shaping you. Marcus Aurelius said, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. The obstacle is not blocking your path. The obstacle is your path. A story of calmness in crisis. Let's recall Epictetus. He was born a slave. His master once twisted his leg so violently that it broke. And do you know what Epictetus said? Calmly, he told his master, if you continue, you will break my leg. When it broke, he said simply, there, I told you. This is not about ignoring pain. This is about refusing to let pain own you. Epictetus reframed his suffering into strength. He went from slave to teacher, shaping minds that still inspire us today. A practical reframing exercise. Here's how you can practice reframing in your own life. Write down a current problem you're facing. Then write down the first painful thoughts that come to mind. This is unfair. This is too hard. This is ruining my life. Now force yourself to write a new perspective. This is teaching me patience. This is training me to be more disciplined. This is preparing me for something greater. You may not believe it at first, but the more you practice, the more your mind begins to rewire itself. The gift of struggle. I want you to reflect for a moment on your own life. Think about some of the hardest things you have gone through. Did they not also shape you? Did they not make you wiser, stronger, more compassionate? Sometimes the greatest gifts come wrapped in struggle. The Stoics knew this, they embraced it, and we can too. Transition to Principle 4, so far we have learned focus on what you can control, pause before reacting, reframe the problem. Together, these already transform the way we face chaos. But there is still more. Because even if we control our response, even if we reframe our struggles, our minds often wander to the past and future, multiplying our suffering. That's why the Stoics remind us of the next principle. Live in the present moment. Principle 4. Live in the present moment. My friends, let me ask you this. Where does most of your stress come from? Think about it for a moment. Is it the present moment itself that overwhelms you? Or is it your thoughts about the past and your fears about the future? The Stoics understood something profound. The present moment is always bearable. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "Never let the future disturb you. You will meet it, if you have to, with the same weapons of reason which arm you today." What did he mean? He meant this: the future looks terrifying only because you are imagining it without the strength you will have when you get there. Right now, in this moment, you are strong enough to handle what's in front of you. Tomorrow's strength will come tomorrow. The weight of yesterday and tomorrow. Picture this. Imagine carrying a backpack. It's heavy but manageable. That's today's load. Now imagine someone puts yesterday's stones into the backpack. Regrets, mistakes, guilt. Suddenly it feels heavier. Now imagine they add tomorrow's stones, fears, worries, what-ifs. The weight becomes unbearable. But here's the truth. You are only meant to carry today's weight. The past is gone. The future is not yet here. Your only job is to handle this present moment. Everyday examples. At work, you worry, what if I fail this project next month? Instead, focus on the one step you can take today. One email, one meeting, one task. In health, you fear, what if this illness gets worse in the future? Instead, focus on today's medicine, today's healthy meal, today's rest. In relationships, you replay arguments from the past or worry about what might go wrong tomorrow. Instead, focus on the moment you are in now, listening, being kind, being present. Calmness grows when you shrink life down to the size of the present. A mindfulness practice, here's a simple exercise. Look around you right now. Notice 3 things you can see. Notice 2 things you can hear. Notice 1 thing you can feel. This practice pulls you back into the present moment. It reminds you, right here, right now, you are capable. The Stoic example. Epictetus taught his students that freedom comes when we stop being dragged around by things beyond our reach. He said, do not seek for things to happen the way you want them to. Rather, wish that what happens happen the way it happens. Then you will be happy. This is not about passivity. It is about presence. Instead of resisting reality, step into it. Instead of fearing tomorrow, meet today fully. The calmness of presence. Have you noticed that children often live this way? A child playing with a toy is fully there. They are not worrying about tomorrow's bills or replaying yesterday's mistakes. They are immersed in the now. We, as adults, complicate life. We divide ourselves between past, present, and future, but calmness invites us back to simplicity. This moment is enough. Principle 5. Practice gratitude in chaos. Now we come to the 5th principle, practice gratitude especially in chaos. Gratitude may sound soft compared to resilience or strength, but make no mistake, gratitude is one of the most powerful weapons against despair. Marcus Aurelius began each day with gratitude for simply being alive. He wrote in there, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." Think about that. In a world of wars, plagues, and betrayal, the Emperor of Rome still began with gratitude. Why gratitude brings calm? When everything goes wrong, our minds zoom in on what's broken. We say, "This is unfair. I lost this. I don't have that." Gratitude shifts the lens. It says, "Yes, this is hard, but what remains? What is still good? What can I still give thanks for? If you lost money, you may still have health. If you lost health, you may still have love. If you lost love, you may still have lessons. And if you lost everything, you still have breath. And where there is breath, there is possibility." Gratitude doesn't erase pain, but it lightens it enough for you to carry it. Real-world examples: job loss. Instead of only saying, "I lost my job," gratitude says, "I have skills. I have time to reset. I have the chance to start fresh." Illness. Instead of only saying, "I am sick," gratitude says, "I still have today. I still have the people who care for me. I still have strength to fight conflict." Instead of only saying, "They hurt me," gratitude says, "I learned who I can trust. I discovered my own strength." A gratitude exercise. Tonight before you sleep, I challenge you, write down 3 things you are grateful for, not just on the good days. Do it especially when everything goes wrong. It could be as simple as, "I am grateful for my breath. I am grateful for the lesson in this pain. I am grateful that tomorrow is a new chance." Gratitude turns chaos into perspective, and perspective creates calm. Gratitude as strength. Some people think gratitude is denial, but it is the opposite. Gratitude sees reality clearly, the pain, the loss, and still says, "Even so, I will not let despair have the final word." That is strength. That is Stoicism. Transition to practical tools. So let us review. We have learned to focus on what we can control, to pause before reacting, to reframe our problems as training, to live in the present moment, and to practice gratitude, even in chaos. Now, the Stoics were not content with theories. They gave themselves daily practices, disciplines that turned principles into habits. Practical tools for daily calmness. The Stoics were not just thinkers, they were practitioners. They didn't want to simply write pretty words in books. They wanted to live with calmness and strength every single day. And so, they developed practical tools, exercises, disciplines, and habits that we too can use. Let me share 5 of them with you. 1. Morning preparation. Each morning, the Stoics prepared their minds for the day ahead. Marcus Aurelius began his mornings by reminding himself, "Today I shall meet with interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness." Why did he write this? Not to complain, but to prepare. He knew life would throw difficulties at him. By expecting them, he was not shocked when they came. You can do the same. Each morning, say to yourself, "Today I may face delays, disappointments, or difficulties. But none of these can take away my calm unless I let them." This mindset transforms the day. 2. Evening reflection. At the end of each day, Seneca advised reviewing your actions. He wrote, "When the light has been removed and my wife has fallen silent, I examine my entire day and go back over what I've done and said." This was not self-punishment. It was self-improvement. Before you sleep, ask yourself, what disturbed my calm today? How did I react? How can I do better tomorrow? This reflection slowly shapes your character. 3. negative visualization. The Stoics practiced imagining loss, not to depress themselves, but to prepare their minds. Epictetus suggested, when you kiss your child, say to yourself, tomorrow he may die. Shocking words, yes. But the point was this: when you remember the fragility of life, you appreciate it more. You are less shocked when hardship comes because your mind is already prepared. Try this. Imagine losing something small: your phone, your keys, your favorite cup. Imagine bigger things: your job, your possessions, even your health. Then when life takes something from you, you'll find you are not broken. You are ready. 4. Mindful breathing. The Stoics did not call it mindfulness but they practiced it through self-awareness. When your heart races, when anger rises, when fear grips you, return to the breath. Breathe deeply. In for 4 counts, hold for 4, out for 4. Calmness follows the breath. Breath is the anchor of the present. 5. Daily gratitude. Gratitude, as we said earlier, is a weapon against despair, but it is not just for crises, it is for every day. Each evening, write down 3 things you are grateful for. They can be big or small: a friend, a meal, even the sound of laughter. Over time, this trains your brain to focus on what is good, even when life feels dark. Now let me give you a few real-life stories of calmness in crisis, because Stoicism is not just theory. Story 1. Viktor Frankl in the concentration camp. During World War II, Viktor Frankl, a Jewish psychiatrist, was imprisoned in Nazi concentration camps. He lost his family, his freedom, almost everything. And yet he discovered one thing no one could take from him: the freedom to choose his attitude. He later wrote, "Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms: to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances." This is Stoicism in action. Even in a camp of death, Frankl remained calm, because he focused on the only thing he controlled: his mind. Story 2. Admiral James Stockdale in Vietnam. Another example: Admiral James Stockdale, captured during the Vietnam War, was held prisoner for 7 years. He was tortured, starved, and isolated. How did he survive? By practicing Stoic philosophy. He had studied Epictetus before the war, and in prison he repeated Stoic teachings to himself. Later, he said, "I never lost faith in the end of the story. I never doubted not only that I would get out, but also that I would prevail in the end." This became known as the Stockdale paradox, the ability to confront brutal reality while never losing faith. Story 3. Everyday heroes. But Stoicism is not only for philosophers or war heroes. It is for parents calming a crying child. It is for workers facing layoffs. It is for students failing an exam. Calmness is not grand, it is daily, and that makes it powerful. Audience reflection exercise. Now I want you to do something with me. Think of one challenge in your life right now, something that feels overwhelming. Close your eyes for a moment. Ask yourself, what part of this is in my control? What part is not? If I pause before reacting, what would change? If I reframed this as training, what lesson would it teach? If I focused only on today, what step could I take? And what, even now, can I be grateful for? Hold that thought. Breathe in, breathe out. Now open your eyes. That, my friends, is Stoicism in practice, not in books, but in hearts, not in theories, but in lives. Strong motivational closing, 7 to 8 minutes. So let us bring everything together. Life will not always go the way you want. Sometimes everything will go wrong, but you still hold the power to remain calm. Remember these truths. Focus on what you can control. Let go of the rest. Pause before reacting. Buy yourself wisdom in the space of a breath. Reframe the problem. See every obstacle as training. Live in the present. The past is gone. The future is not here. Today is always enough. Practice gratitude. Even in chaos, find what remains and give thanks. The Stoics remind us calmness is not weakness. Calmness is strength. The calm person is not broken by storms. They stand firm within them. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. So the next time life falls apart, remember, you cannot control the storm, but you can always adjust your sails. And if you do, nothing, no failure, no betrayal, no loss, will ever steal your peace. Stay calm, stay strong, and live wisely. Thank you.